In a world obsessed with what comes next, have you ever wondered what we lose by forgetting to simply be here, now? Welcome to the Myth of Now, a space where questions matter more than answers, and timeless philosophy meets the rush of modern life. Pause, breathe, and let's think deeply together. Welcome to today's episode. Today, we're asking a question most people never dare to ask out loud. Why do we secretly choose leaders who will betray us? Why do we keep falling for the same lies across centuries, countries, and even in our own lives? The answer isn't just about them. It's about us and the darkness we don't want to face. Have you ever stopped to wonder why we so often place our trust in the very people who will hurt us most? No, really. Pause for a moment. Think back to every leader, every boss, every public figure, or even every person you've admired who eventually let you down. Why did we choose them in the first place? It's unsettling, isn't it? To realize that sometimes we don't just tolerate betrayal, we almost invite it. Because buried deep inside us is a truth we rarely dare to speak aloud. We are drawn to those who confirm our hidden fears about ourselves. And in that attraction, we forge the very chains that will one day bind us. Imagine this, a society desperate for order, drowning in noise, confusion, and fear. Along comes a voice, confident, decisive, unbothered by doubt. A voice that promises clarity. Our hearts leap. We listen. We follow. Yet history, from ancient Rome to modern democracies, shows us over and over that those who speak with unwavering certainty often do so not from wisdom, but from something darker, a hunger to dominate, to control, to bend others to their will. Niccolo Machiavelli, centuries ago, observed this with chilling clarity. He saw that power rarely rewards kindness or honesty. Instead, it lifts up those who are ruthless enough to do what others won't, and charming enough to make us thank them for it. But why do we fall for it? Why do we, time and again, give power to narcissists, liars, and fools? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Because, on some level, we want to. When Dietrich Bonhoeffer spoke of stupidity, he didn't mean a lack of intelligence. He meant a dangerous state where people stop thinking critically, where they let others do the thinking for them. Because thinking, truly thinking, is painful. It forces us to confront contradictions within ourselves, to accept that the world is messy, unfair, and often terrifying. So we trade that pain for the soothing certainty offered by those who claim to have all the answers. And in doing so, we become complicit in our own manipulation. Picture the fall of ancient Athens. Plato, looking back at the chaos of democracy corrupted by demagogues, warned that people crave freedom so deeply that they end up handing power to tyrants who promise to protect it. It sounds absurd until we see it happen again and again and again. In modern times, we call it populism. We call it strong leadership. But at its core, it's the same pattern. A frightened people choosing a leader not because he is wise or good, but because his certainty makes them feel safe. Even if that certainty is a mask hiding cruelty and ignorance.
Think about your own life. Have you ever admired someone simply because they were loud, bold, unafraid to say what others wouldn't? At first, it felt refreshing, liberating. They seemed like the antidote to everything fake and polite. But later, perhaps you realized their confidence wasn't rooted in truth, but in arrogance, in the refusal to question themselves, to doubt, to listen. And suddenly, what once felt like strength looked more like a dangerous weakness. Psychologists call it the Dunning-Kruger effect. The most incompetent people often feel the most confident. They don't know enough to see their own blind spots. Yet paradoxically, that very ignorance can make them magnetic. Because most of us walk through life haunted by doubt. We see our flaws, we second-guess ourselves. And when we meet someone who seems untouched by those shadows, it's hard not to be drawn in. But what we don't see, what we refuse to see, is that self-doubt is often a sign of wisdom, of humility, of someone who thinks. Friedrich Nietzsche warned us too. He saw how people worship power for power's sake, how the herd, fearing chaos, elevates those who promise control, even when that control means cruelty. He called it the will to power, and it lives in each of us, not just in those we put on pedestals. We don't like to admit this, but sometimes we want to be ruled. Because freedom is frightening, responsibility is heavy. It's so much easier to hand it to someone else, to say, "Tell me what to do, show me who to blame, make me feel righteous." And so we choose leaders who will betray us. Not by accident, but by design. They fulfill a hidden need to relieve us of the burden of thinking, of questioning, of facing the truth that the world is uncertain, and we must navigate it ourselves. They confirm our deepest suspicions that we are powerless, and that only through them can we find strength. But what if we saw this pattern for what it is? What if, instead of falling for loud certainty, we learned to value quiet doubt? Instead of charisma, we sought character. Instead of simple answers, we chose those who admit complexity. It would be harder, slower, less entertaining. Yet, perhaps that is the price of genuine freedom. Remember this: history doesn't only happen in grand halls and public squares. It happens in our hearts every time we choose what to admire and what to reject. And sometimes the most revolutionary act isn't to fight the tyrant outside, but to confront the part of ourselves that longs for one. In the end, we get the leaders we deserve, not because they tricked us, but because, in a way we're too ashamed to admit, we invited them in. So next time you find yourself drawn to certainty, pause. Ask, is this real strength or just the illusion of it? Because the world will always have fools and liars ready to lead. The question is, will we keep following them?
Thank you for watching today's episode. If you found these ideas thought-provoking, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who might need to hear this, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this one. And we'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let us know. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning.